Hey y'all, let me turn this off because it's kind of loud. This is AL Thick Madame, and this is the recap review for American Soul, which is the season finale. Y'all, I'm just like, I feel like the season just started. But anyway, y'all, the episode started out with George Johnson, who is the guy who is the sponsor for the Afro Sheen stuff and actually half owner of Soul Train. So he came in and he's looking for Dawn and he runs into Richard Pryor. Anybody who knows who Richard Pryor was, because y'all know he's, no longer with us, he is definitely vulgar and then some. So imagine this man's surprised when he's there and he's supposed to actually host the show. Like, this man is worried, like, okay, you can't just talk how you want to talk, given that this show is like a family show and it is not just something that's on like HBO or whatever. Y'all, Richard Pryor was doing the most. He was trying to read this man. I was like, oh my gosh, somebody please get him. Y'all, anyway, Dawn and Gerald are actually at the site of where the cars exploded from the night before. And they're watching the wreckers take these cars off and they're trying to devise a plan as to what they are going to do about Ruby. And Gerald is kind of looking at him like, bruh, you really ain't got no dog in this fight. You cannot handle this heifer. I'm trying to tell you what I know and just stay out of it. So Dawn is like, oh, you think I can handle it? And he was just like, look, I'm trying to tell you, you don't think you're willing to get your hands as dirty as I am. Man, Gerald done walked off and I'm like, Lord, what is going on? He done collapsed. Y'all, they ended up having to rush him to the hospital because his lung collapsed. So I'm like, Lord, of course. Like, that's why I was confused before, because I'm like, you seem like you got stabbed in your lung and we saw you not long after that, so you didn't rest, which, is kind of impossible given the circumstances because Ruby out here doing the most. But still, like, he's not going to be able to do anything that he really feels like he should be able to do to his full capabilities because he is, like, injured. Like, that wound is still there. It has not even halfway healed at this point, y'all. So anyway, y'all, Dawn is at the hospital. He just showed up at the hospital. Y'all excuse me, eyelashes in my eye. But Dawn has showed up at the hospital and he's talking to Gerald. And, he's trying to, let him know, like, I said what I said earlier. And y'all know how pushy Dawn is. He was like, I basically said what I said. And the tone that I gave you, I still feel the same exact way. I'm not about to, go back on what I said or how I said it just because this situation is going on. I said what I said. And he's just like, look, you be having all these migraines and things, and I have this collapsed lung. And, I'm like, bruh, how you think you're going to be able to do anything when everything is getting worse for you and you have not gone to get any of this stuff really seen about? Like, stop. So anyway, I'm glad that he actually did tell Gerald everything, but still, he can't do nothing. I'm like, you ain't gonna help. No, you literally are in the way at this point. Like, every time we think you about to help, or anytime you think you about to help, you get in the way and you about to black out and you in the way. And it's like, ain't nobody got time to save you and myself. Like, stop. So anyway, y'all, Tessa has to deal with Richard Pryor doing the most. And, since Dawn isn't there, she automatically has been the one who's had to take over. So she's just doing what she feels she has to do or what she knows she has to do as far as stepping in is concerned. Y'all, Dawn is hosting the Midnight Special. And he actually is supposed to be meeting up with these people to pitch this idea for him to be a talk show host. And I'm kind of like, what? That don't even make no sense to me. I mean, I'm just saying, despite the fact that I was born in the 80s and this show came out like in the mid to late 60s. I'm just saying, like, from old videos that I've seen of Soul Train and all that, I just don't see him being a talk show host. Me being tuned in, despite him being who he was, y'all. But anyway, um, he is, supposed to be talking to these people who he considers to be like heavy hitters, to kind of try to pitch the idea to them. And, he seems like he might be able to get in some kind of headway or whatever, as far as the situation is concerned. And he was like, look, I don't want us to have any distractions. Let's go somewhere else. And they end up like going upstairs somewhere. Of course, drugs are involved and alcohol. And I'm just like, Lord, of course, what happens? What did I just say? The migraines. Here we go. The blurriness. All right. And he has to figure out where's a bathroom. And they are under the impression that he is doing drugs on his own, and that's why he declined doing drugs with them. Nah. He just is going all the way through. So, y'all, we're going to step away from that scene for a moment because it's going to be a continuation. So anyway, Gerald decided to check himself out of the hospital because they already told him off rip, in order for you to kind of get back to normal and not have to worry about your lung like keeping you out of commission, you need to be on bed rest, not really doing nothing for 8 weeks. And we already know Ruby ain't finna sit around and wait 8 weeks. So he's checked himself out. Y'all, this heifer is doing the most. So Gerald got some of his like people together and they went to where her apartment building is. So Gerald knows this heifer very well. He tried to open the door, and before he could really open it like he really wanted to, he heard a little click. I said, oh Lord, this heifer got the door rigged. Of course, she did have the door rigged, and the door blew off because she had like a shotgun trained on the door, and it blew it to smithereens. So then they enter the apartment. The heifer is standing there. She was waiting on them. She knew they were coming, and she waited on them. And this whole episode rather, her signature was, and then just run away. And I'm just like, girl, why? Why is we doing this? So anyway, she would do that, and she went on, out the window and went down the fire escape or whatever. And they were gonna kind of try to pursue her, but they stopped. Well, luckily they did stop. I don't know if the guy who I guess took Willie's spot, that's who I deem him to be. He stopped like right where he needed to because she had a claymore. She had a claymore set to go off had a wire been tripped. I was like, heifer, you doing the most in an apartment building occupied by a whole lot of people. Oh my gosh, like this heifer did the absolute most. Claymores are not just out there readily available, or at least they're not supposed to be. Like this was like, I think military grade stuff. Like she doing the most. So Gerald had to call the police, his old police buddy who he was in the military with. Man, this dog doing the most, y'all. I just don't understand. I just don't understand. Y'all see what I'm talking about? Y'all see what I'm talking about? I really be trying. And then they just set it off. Like I'm not making a video. Like, bruh, stop. It's like they stopped when I said stop. But anyway, y'all, I apologize for the interruption. So anyway, this heifer doing the most. This is military grade stuff. Why would you do this? So he has called the police, and of course the guy who he was in the military with came out. And, they're trying to figure out who's all behind all this stuff. And I'm just like, y'all didn't listen the first time. Gerald tried to tell you before that you ain't dealing with some regular person. Just like the last episode, they tried to think that somehow filing a report and filing a restraining order against her was somehow going to make her stop being her. Oh, okay. Yeah, but anyway. But yeah, they had to clear everything out, and yeah, she doing the most. So anyway, Richard Pryor is doing the most on set. They are, I guess taking a break, and he done tried to roll all the way up on a young Shaka Khan, and Tessa had to roll up and was like, what you're not finna do is that. She's very young. She's not for you. And like one of the dancers, like kind of tried him in passing, and Tessa had to let him know, if you mess with her, she will not have a job. She will be fired. And he was like, dang, who hurt you? What you need to do? Go kick a puppy? Like, is that what we doing? Like, Richard Pryor's doing the most. I can't do it. Anyway, Dawn is pitching ideas currently. Like I said, and the migraines start coming on. Whatever. Y'all, JT is at the house drinking down. Like he has a bottle turned up. And Simone comes in. She still has a key to her apartment. And he looking at her like, what are you doing here? I told you that we're done. You need to leave the key on your way out. And so she done went off and she was like, no, the people have been calling me all day about your sister Aiya. And the foster parents want to see you. And I mean, the adoptive parents to be want to see you. And so he looking like, I don't understand what they want to see me for. I already pulled my application. And so he was just like, I don't understand. So she was like, your sister needs you, whatever, whatever. And he is just like, I don't understand. I don't see the point. Whatever. So Gerald is out here alone. Why? I mean, I'm just like, Gerald. On one hand, I'm like, why are you alone? But on the other hand, I'm like, well, it kind of don't matter because everybody around you keep getting got. So, I mean, it is what it is. So, he out here walking alone. Every time I see him alone now, I'm just like, Gerald, sir, why? Anyway, he out here walking alone at night. And you can tell by the surroundings, something ain't right. There's people across the street looking suspicious. So, he ends up kind of getting hemmed up and, carted off. So he is carted off somewhere to be interrogated. And he had already been told earlier in the day when the police came that some mobsters from Chicago are there. And so he was like, do you want to tell me why some people from Chicago are here? And Jared already looking like, I'm tired of my spirit. And there was some other guy that was there. The other guy who was in the picture was there, and he was gonna try to interrogate him, and it got to the point where Gerald played his cards right, and he told him, look, what you're not finna do is really get whatever you think you're gonna get out of me, because they are watching you and they are watching Ruby. Because in his mind, old boy was like, well, what's stopping me from killing you and killing Ruby? And he was just like, I mean, do what you do, but I'm just saying, they still got eyes on you. And he kind of, in his mind, old boy's like, Ruby ain't gonna drop a dime on me. And I'm like, this heifer is all about self. So I don't know why you think that if it came down to it, she wouldn't drop a dime on you, but okay. For whatever reason, old boy, decided to go with what Gerald was saying, and Gerald is out here in these streets again. So, y'all, Dawn is out here walking around trying to find the room that he was supposed to be in. We think he's getting about to be confronted, that's the word I'm looking for, by Ruby in some way. He done hemmed her up, and he is just like, I'm not gonna take it. Like, he's just going off, y'all. And then she runs off, frantic and acting fragile. And I'm like, okay, that ain't like Ruby. What is going on? Y'all, come to find out, when he does finally find the room, he has hemmed up the wrong person. This is a whole nother random person. And he legit thought it was Ruby. His migraines and stuff were so bad that he really thought he was hemming up Ruby, and he wasn't. This was a whole other random person, and she wanted to call the police. The people looking at him like, you done lost your mind if you think we're gonna do anything with you. And it was just a lot. So, y'all, JT actually ended up meeting up with the adoptive father to be, and he was just like, look, I'm meeting up with you because I read your file. I did some research on you, just like you did research on me. And, your job is kind of sketchy and all of that. But I know your sister loves you, and you did what you did, and you got your sister out of that situation. So I know that there has to be something great about you. And so he was like, well, I was told that my sister doesn't remember me. And he was like, yeah, she does remember you. When we first met her, she would cry all the time, and she kept saying Jet. And We bought plushies, we bought a jet, we bought all these toys for her, and nothing will calm her down. And JT was kind of overcome with joy because it actually made him feel good, because that was the first moment in a long time that made him happy, because his sister actually did remember him. She used to call him Jet because when she was a lot younger, because when we were first introduced to her, she was pretty young. She apparently could not say JT, so she would call him Jet. That's like my sister. For whatever reason, she used to call me Menda. And ain't the first M in my name nowhere. Not in my first, middle, or last name. But she used to call me Menda. But I mean, it just is what it is. But because for whatever reason, she couldn't call me by my name at that time. Y'all, it's just funny how kids are. But yeah, that's what happened in that situation. And so he was like, look, I brought you to this field, because it was like a big football field or something like that. He was like, I brought you to this field because there is a position opening up. I think it's like a custodial type position. And he was like, you can go to school full time, do what you're supposed to do and work, and have legitimate work, and have something that you can fall back on, and something that will stick with you for the rest of your life. Just think about it and let me know. So this man to set up here and is going to allow him access to his sister, and he is giving him a job. He didn't already quit the job at the club, so it's like, okay, see how God works. Look at that. Look at you, y'all. So anyway, Richard Pryor is out here, and Tessa already had to roll up on him and was like, look, there are rules. And before she could even try to tell him what the rules were, he basically said all of them to her, which was that he can't cuss, he can't say certain things, and he can't, do certain things because, he's very, very, very vulgar. And he actually did what he was supposed to do. So I was like, okay, look at you. Acting like he got some sense. Y'all, they ended up introducing Rufus and Shaka Khan. And I don't think I'm familiar with the song that the person who was playing Shaka Khan did, but it was Rufus featuring Shaka Khan, but the entire song was her singing. And I'm like, okay, well, maybe this is one of those instances where they'll say the Isley Brothers before they would just say Ronald Isley and the Isley Brothers. And it's musically inclined, and it's just a situation like that. I'm thinking that might have been what it was, because I could have swore Rufus did something else, actually did some singing, but I'm probably wrong. I don't know. Y'all let me know in the comment section. I was supposed to look that up, but I got ahead of myself and wanted to go on ahead and do this video. I apologize. So yeah, y'all. So Don is at the house sleep with random heifers when he gets a knock or the doorbell ringing, and it is actually George, the guy who has gone half in on Soul Train, and he's like, look, I can't do this no more. I'm tired of my spirit. I want out of this. And so Don kind of wanted to try to convince him otherwise, but then he was like, look, I'm giving you 3 days to decide. Don was like, look, I don't even need 3 days. So he went on ahead and shook his hand, and now he is just done. And he was like, look, as far as, sponsorship and all this other stuff, as far as my word is concerned, I would give you 10 years free free commercials for 10 years as far as the Afro Sheen and all that stuff is concerned, to cover his investment. And Don agreed to it. Y'all, Brooks is tired of his spirit, right? So he's at the office, and Tessa trying to figure out why he packing up his desk. And Don walks in. Ain't nobody seen Don in I don't know how long. But anyway, Brooks is tired as usual. And he done went off again because he again was set up, because he went out of his way to get this meeting set up again. And he pulled every single favor and string that he had left to get it done. And Don did not show up. Don tried to apologize, and he was like, I messed up. The deal, is dead now. It's my bad. It is what it is. And he's just like, I need you to understand, like, you keep having me out here looking like a fool, and I don't have nothing to show for it no more. I done pulled all these strings, and you just keep on trying me. Man, Brooks read him down because, like I already told y'all earlier, Don was over here trying to pitch an idea for him to have a talk show, and he was like, "I don't even know why you're trying to do that. Don't nobody want to see you do no talk show. A dead corpse would be more entertaining to watch than you." And I ain't gonna lie, if you ever saw him do his like little interviews and stuff, it is what it is. I don't think I'll watch it. I loved his voice was everything, but I don't think I would watch it. But he got read. I was like, dang, Brooks reading you? You know it's bad when Brooks reading you. So anyway, y'all, Ruby rolled up. And like this heifer has no fear in her heart. She rolled up and she was grabbed up and they took her to this alley, and you know, the guy who I keep feeling as though is the person who was supposed to be filling the void that was left when Ruby killed Willie. He picked her up and Gerald told him to put her in the back of the car. I'm just like, why is we trying to act like it's just gonna be a peaceful moment? Of course it wasn't. Ruby fought back and she stabbed old boy. And her and Gerald was about to get into it. And so some woman was out back of whatever restaurant she was at and she kind of dropped some stuff. And so Ruby instantly was like, ooh, bystander, witness. So she rolled up on her with her knife and, you know, threatened Gerald and was like, you know how I get down, you know, I will kill her, let me through. So he kind of let her through and she ended up slitting this woman's face. She sliced the face up a little bit and a foot chase ensued. And this heifer Ruby don't care about nobody. To the point where this heifer pulled out a gun and she was waiting until they turned the corner. She started shooting out. Like, wasn't nobody around. Just like, girl, you just don't care who you kill. So they start chasing one another. It's to the point where she is like 500 steps ahead. Like, for real. Like, she's like 5 steps ahead. Let me stop doing the most saying 500. When she cut the woman's face, she did it on purpose. Because she didn't have to do it, but she thought ahead. Like, so far ahead to the point where she was like, okay, cut this woman's face. She got some of the blood from this woman's face and smeared it up against her nose to make it look like she had gotten into some sort of domestic violence situation. So she running and trying to get away from Gerald. Eventually, she sees some police officers, and so she's making it seem as though she's being chased by some crazy man. And they're like, oh my gosh, well, who is the person? Oh, it's Gerald. His name is Gerald Ames. Oh my gosh. And all of a sudden we hear gunshots again. I'm like, ain't no way Gerald is that dumb to just shoot into the direction of them. Like, I know he's desperate. Is he that dumb? I don't think so. Oh, so this heifer is behind the police officers, waiting. Just waiting for him to get hemmed up. Oh no. Gerald meant what he said when he said what he said. And he proceeded to walk up on that heifer and blew her brains out. Gerald was like, I don't care. He blew her brains out and dropped his gun to the ground and went on ahead and happily surrendered to the police. I was like, no, you did. Y'all, I said, Gerald, no, you did. You know, went off. He really did. Gerald went all the way off, y'all. Y'all, JT ended up going to meet up with his sister, and at first, she kind of seemed like she wasn't here for it, but she gave him a big old hug, and she was like, hi, Jet. And he was so happy. I was like, oh my gosh. Because, like, for whatever reason, when he first rolled up, he said, hi, Aiya, I'm JT. So she, like, hit him or pushed him away or something. I was like, did you say that she remembered him? What is going on? But then she ended up hugging him, so I was like, okay. Y'all, Gerald was brought in for questioning, and basically he was like, yeah, I've been Miranda, my Miranda rights have been given to me and all this other stuff, and they wanted to question him, and it wasn't about him. They wanted to know about Ruby because she has no identification, and so he was like, that's Ruby, whatever her last name is. And then added on another last name, which was his. They were married. I was like, what we not finna do is this. married. And so, because he had already said that he consented to talking to them, but only up to a certain extent. And after he said what her whole name was, so he was like, "That's your wife?" He was like, "Yeah, was my wife." And yeah, I know I don't want to talk no more. I want to have my legal representation. They ended up booking him, doing what they was gonna do. Y'all, they ended up playing Slipping Into Darkness. I was like, okay, then y'all better do that. So this is the end of the episode. They actually show everybody doing what they doing. They showed JT and Simone. They seem kind of comfy and cozy. I don't know if they are literally moving in together or if she's just over helping to decorate for him or whatever, but they are a couple or whatever. Dawn actually went to go get an MRI and all this other stuff done, all these scans and stuff done, and in hopes of them finding out what's wrong with him because they have tried before and have been unsuccessful. And they showed Gerald in jail, prison, or wherever he at, and it just is what it is, y'all. And I was like, okay, then y'all better do that. They actually showed real live clips from when the actual real life Don Cornelius had the interview with, I think it was Martha Reeves, when the episode happened earlier in the season where she asked him if he could, go down the Soul Train line with him. And they actually showed that interview happening and him actually going down the Soul Train line and dancing with her. Like, it was amazing. It was cool. But that was the end of it, y'all. I cannot believe the season is over with. I liked it for the most part. It's just these last 2 episodes. I was not expecting them to be have this little bit of a fizzle or whatever, because they did the most all last season, and they started off this season quite well, but these last 2 episodes, Anyway, hopefully y'all enjoyed my recap review, and I will be back for Greenleaf.